So today we're doing parallel circuits, and a parallel circuit looks like this. So I'm going to give it a battery. Here's, don't forget, the small side is negative, the larger side is positive. I'm going to give it 9 volts, and it goes around this way, and we have one resistor. We go back around, then we give it 2 resistors, and this is technically already a parallel circuit, but I'm going to go ahead and add a third one, and there could even be a fourth one, but this one's just going to have 3. And then this one's going to be 2.7 ohms. No, 2.7 kilo ohms. Sorry, let's put that kilo in there. That would be a really small amount of resistance. And this one would be 600 ohms, and this one would be 300 ohms. Let me put the little ohm symbol in there. And there is a main current coming out of the battery. Remember, current comes from the positive side and goes around towards the negative, gets attracted towards the negative side. And this would be the total current coming out of the battery. But there are other currents. So in your problem, it's going to ask you for the main current. It's going to ask you for probably the total resistance, the total current, and the current through resistor 1, and the current through resistor 2, and the current through resistor 3. And they won't ask you for much else, I don't think. And the reason being is you'll see here in a second. So let's go ahead and get this started. Let's make a table, just like before. And the rules are the exact opposite of series circuits. So let's call this resistor 1. So this one will be resistor 1. This one will be resistor 2. And then resistor 3 will be that last one. And then we'll just say RT, or we'll just call this total. That'll be our total column. Keeping the lines surprisingly straight today. Alright. So, let's start first with resistance. The first one is 2,700 ohms. Right here. 2.7 kilo ohms is 2,700 ohms. This one is 600 ohms. And this one is 300 ohms. Now for the total, do not add them up. In series you can add them up. This is not series, this is parallel. You can tell it's parallel because some electricity will go through this guy before it comes back around, but some of it won't go that way. It'll go down here this way, and some of it will even not go there but go here, and then they meet up on the other side and come back around. That's different than the series circuit we saw before. Then here, let's do voltage, and then we'll do current on this last one. So, the one thing we do know is the total voltage right here. The total voltage on this power source is 9 volts. So this is our total column. I put RT, but just total resistance, total voltage, total current. Now, the cool thing about this is rule number 1 is that all voltages are the same. So immediately, once you know the main voltage, they're all 9 volts. That makes it very easy. That's the opposite of before. In series, the voltages were all different. And the current was all the same. This one is the current is different for each resistor. Okay? So here we actually have to calculate it. Using these two, we'll calculate it. Using these two, we'll calculate this one. Using these two, we'll calculate that one. So remember that current is equal to voltage divided by resistance. That's just Ohm's law. And specifically, we're going to try to find the current for this current right here. We'll call this I1, the current traveling through this wire, which means I need to know the voltage on one and the resistance of one right here. So the voltage of one and the resistance of one. So 9 volts divided by 2,700 ohms. So 9 divided by 2,700. And we get 0.0033 repeating amps. And then the next one, let's solve that one, I2, so the current 2. I only need to know the voltage for 2 and the resistance for 2. So they're right here. So 9 volts. and the resistance is 600 ohms for that guy. And then we're just going to take a calculator and we're going to go 9 volts divided by 600. Oops. 600 is, oops, I think I messed it up here. 9 divided by 600 is 0.015 amps. So 0.015 amps. And then this one right here, let's do that one. I'll move this down a bit. I3, the current for the current traveling through this one, so we'll call this I3. This one would have been I2, the current traveling through that wire, is V3 divided by R3. And that's 9 volts right here. Sorry, right here, 9 volts and 300 ohms. 300 ohms. So let's get out the calculator. 9 divided by 300 is equal to 0.03 amps. And this one has the most current. And this one has the most current because it has the least resistance. This one has the most resistance, so it's the smallest amount of current, 0.003. If you look right here, 0.003 amps. I didn't put the A here. So, now lastly, Kirchhoff's current law, all currents add up to the total. So just add these all up and they will add up to the total. So the first one plus the second one plus the third one, and I get 0.0483 amps, and that's the total current. That's how much coming right out of that battery. Then it's split up into littler amounts here, here, and here. Those are those ones right here. This big chunk gets split up into those little branches there. And then to find the total resistance, we could do it using this equation if you just wanted to go straight to finding it. And you could have done this at the beginning and just taken the first resistor and the second resistor, oops, plus the third resistor, but they're all 1 over those values. Add them all up, then reciprocate your answer. But this case, we're just going to use this here, this equation. This is part of Ohm's law, solving for I. And the main current is 9 volts. The main voltage is 9 volts, and the main current is this, 0.0483. Because remember, if I know 2 of any 3 in a row, so if there's 3 things here, voltage, current, and resistance, if I know 2 of the 3, I can always solve the third one. So I'm going to go here, and I'm going to say 9 divided by 0.0483 is equal to 186. So that's the answer, 186 ohms. And remember, in parallel, your total resistance for this whole circuit, the resistance of the whole thing, is always going to be less than the smallest one. The smallest one is what, 300? So your total is going to be smaller than that, and it is, so that's a good way to kind of just double check you've done things right. And that's the answer, guys.